about this tool here, this insert device, which is a wedge. And this tool has a few good uses. You can use it in pressure flaking, you can use it in indirect percussion, and you can use it for truing up your pieces as you're going along. Now, years ago, when I was just using my billets and hardwood billets and pressure flaking and all that, well, when I would be pressure flaking years ago, I'd notice that my tines, when I'm pressure flaking, I would shape with the outside of my tines, you know, trying to bring, as you're working a piece, it kind of gets out of place, and I like keeping my piece going towards the finish direction that I like. I like looking at it, figuring out what direction it's going, and going for that that triangular shape as much as possible. And the antler would help trim that out, keep that going as the point it progressed. The problem is though I liked, if I had antler that had a pith, I'd like to work to one side. Generally, that's kind of the antler that I had, was antler that had a pith. So I would fracture the antler, use pieces that were not the inside but just the outside. So I'd take bigger pieces of antler, fracture them or cut them, and then grind them to one side. But what I did was I got a piece of this axis antler from a buddy of mine years ago. It was a longer piece, and found it very effective, just making this chisel type side that I would then use it as a specialty tool just for that. So then my antler for pressure flaking would just be for the pressure flaking, and then this would be for the shaping. So with that regard, with this tool, this wedge tool, I'm finding that since the shape of it, the way the shape of it is, and since I'm using this for indirect percussion a lot, I'll trim this end up a little bit more, and you can see the use that's on there. You have these, because I'm using the corners for indirect percussion. I'm using this, still the corners, but more over to the inside for flaking, and I'll demonstrate that a little later on. So this tool having the ability to do indirect percussion, pressure flaking, and also shaping. So if I'm shaping out something, I'll give you an example here. Let's say this piece here that I'm working. You can just go along the sides, and you're only pushing down lightly and taking what the stone wants to give you to take. You're not forcing too much. Okay? And you come back around, and then you keep, and that way you get these little bitty flakes off of there. And that way you're kind of keeping it going in the shape that you want. Whether this is right, somebody will be out there disagree with me, whatever. Sorry, this is just, I'm teaching you the way that I do it. You can take what I have to teach you, methods that I have to show you. You can take those pieces. If you find it helpful, use it. If you don't, I don't know what to say, but I have an idea that you're going to see a lot of these things, and I'm in no race to be the best flint napper that there is, make the best points there. I don't even follow point identification very much. You tell me to make a certain kind of point, my God, there's so many of them now, and most of them seem pretty similar to me in some regard. So at any rate, so this is the way that you use that portion of this tool. The other one is in now if you want to do this and get a good nice bite on your tool. You can always put this in a little of your crumbs that pile up and stick it in there, and it will set up really nicely. Oh my. Oh, there went my little stone. Oh well. So I've got this little piece here, that stack there, that I'm going to get rid of here. And so how I'm going to get rid of that stack is first I'll probably just work this other side a little bit. Now I can take out my other piece and come up with some patterns there, but I'm on the other side, and I'd probably do that for just all intents and purposes right now. Just use this just to show you how I can go in front of that stack, and I can aim this wedge in that direction. I can also turn it around this way, and I could aim it in the other direction, and then your antler blow will follow suit as well. If I'm removing a stack, I like to kind of rub it a little bit, let the crumbs just kind of stay on there as well. Okay, come in here, and I'm going to put it, since I've wore this shoulder, I'll turn it this way, shoulder down, I'm going to put the tip of this on, so when this comes down, it's not hitting here and then double striking across that. So I'll use this portion there. A little later on I'll true it up, and I'm going to work on developing a piece, maybe even take this piece and then affix an antler piece on the end of it, or a piece of buffalo that's a wedge shape, so then that way I can utilize this tool and it just won't shrink down, and then you got to make another one, which isn't really that big of a deal, but still, then I could just be manufacturing tips to put on. So that's an idea down the road that I'm pursuing. So I'll put this on here. Do the same thing as before. You're pushing the tip of the insert tool into here for a little bit of spring action, and then the platform that you're sitting it on is then resting where you want the tool to rest. I'm placing this across here like this, because this one here I don't really want to put my fingers like this as much, because it's more apt to rob some of the energy and stall it. Instead, because the tool's narrow, I'm going to do the side hold like this that I've demonstrated before. I'll just run my thumb up here like this, and then, and it didn't quite go there. Went to the side though. It even looks like it may have weakened it a little bit. So what I'm going to do is come around to the other side and hit it from the other direction. So you can see where that strike went beside it over here, but it missed. It kept going past it. So now I'm going to come over here, and I probably should take a flake on the other side here first. So I'm taking another shot on the other side just to raise that platform a little bit. So you can see the shot that there's the other piece of the flake that I just took on the other side. You can see the scar. Here's where that is, and then you can see the scar that just took. It was nice and thin. This one here, right next to that one. Okay, so now try. I like using the sandstone for prepping my edges, and I don't really abrade too much. So now I'm going to be going the other direction. So I can either turn this around, or I could just turn the whole press, the whole base to the other side. Actually, I think I'm going to hit that in this direction. And voila, there is the stack removed, right like that. So this tool works extremely well with it being narrow, plus the angle that it's at allows you to turn it this way or the other way to really get in at an angle and really focus a lot of energy in one small place. Okay, the other place where this shines, I'll demonstrate as well. Here's just a piece of old flint spall. This looks like this might be some of the Danish flint that I've got laying around. This is not treated either. Okay, now for those of you who are new, you're going to be needing, or even experienced, you're going to be needing to stitch, and that's the process, or snake. That's kind of like how I learned it, is snake, like how it twists. But the way that it's commonly referred in Flintknapping community is stitching. Some call it sawtooth or something along those lines, but it's taking a flake on one side, just like I did just there, then flipping it over, as long as you're bringing it up above that halfway part that I've explained with looking at it like mountains. And I need to take some of those videos and put them on here for you so that you can better understand what I'm talking about if I'm slipping and trying and talking in terms of mountains and peaks and things like that. So you can again take that corner, hold it with your fingers like this, because you're not trying to drive a long flake, you're just trying to chisel it, and you're holding it like this. So here's your piece, so it's more like this. Try to turn around this way for you to see. So there's how that strike was. I'm not angling it in like this like I would if I was taking a longer flake in. I'm just driving, and you can see where it drove that piece. Now I'll turn it over to the other side. Okay, and now again I can turn this now to where the wedge, I don't know if you can see that, to where the wedge corner is now aiming in and making it easy to go this direction, which is a great thing with this, because if you find my way I prefer of snaking around a point or stitching around a point is of a spall or something along those lines, is on my lap, and you get the one side just goes great, but then you got to flip to the other side, so you got to flip over to this side, or you got to trying to get that angle, and it's a lot harder. With this, it makes it a lot easier to do, except you got to get the piece in there. And I'm probably going to need, since I'm doing flint, I'm going to need to go to a bigger striker, because you can see I got the flake, you can see, but it was a lot. Where did it go? There they are. There's the flakes. It took more. You see, you're going to have to give it a little more oomph, a little more gas. So you can see now where this